Hi, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Outrage Voices. I'm Sharon Lee Williams, the host and producer of this community beautiful show. Our CEO today is Ranjana Maria Vanegard, and she's going to say that better than I can. Now, she's going to share her journey and her story with us. Now, this is not just about what happened to her, it's about who she's become and what her story can teach us about strength, belonging, and healing.
So thank you, first of all, Sharon, for inviting me for Outrage Voices. It's an honor to be here today. It's an honor to share my voice, the voice that I have for myself to speak, but also the voice that I have for other people to help them.
Do people call you Ranjana Maria or just Ranjana?
Ranjana. Just Ranjana, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are going to do that as well. And that actually, sorry to mispronounce your name, but definitely it leads us to where we have to go anyhow. Because a little bit of your story, let's share a little bit of where you come from. You were born in Mumbai.
Yes.
Adopted in Mumbai. Moved to Denmark.
Yeah.
So let's start there. I know now you're in the U.S., but you know, when I hear that, I say, okay, where is home? Where is the, or where, I shouldn't say where is home. Where is, what does home mean for you?
So, what home means for me? I used to call my home in Denmark, in Copenhagen, where I grew up. I was born in Mumbai. I came to Denmark when I was 8.5 months old. But my journey leads me today where I call home in my heart.
Yes, yes, yes.
And how did I come to that? It is a long journey to come here where I feel home in my heart. It's a long journey of resilience, struggles, pain, suffering, but also finding my heart is about loving yourself unconditionally. You know, love fulfills your heart. And I believe today it's not about just a physical building. No, it's in your heart.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because in order to get to the heart, there's a journey. There is a journey. And that, you know, being raised in Denmark as a woman of color is, can you speak to that a little bit? Or, you know, especially when you were younger, how that worked for you on both sides? I mean, when you, if and when you went back to Mumbai, how that worked. But what does being raised as, I guess you say, a Dane mean for you?
So I was adopted into a Danish family with 3 biological children, which means they were white. That's my parents. So I always felt that I was looking different. I was always questioning my mother, you know, why do I look different than my siblings? You know, I couldn't really understand it, right? But and then she explained to me that I was not coming out of her womb, but I was born out of my birth mother's womb in India. And that's why I had the color that I had. So I always knew from when I was a child and as young as I could remember anything that I was adopted. But it still raised questions in my mind about feeling different than my color. But I was very fortunate when I grew up in school because we were 3 adopted children that was put in one class, and 2 people one from China, 2 from India, and then 2 people from Israel. So we were all mixed color in that class, which made it more like balanced, you know, color-wise. And that was one strategy of the principal of that school that wanted to create that for the children.
Excellent.
which I like. So when I grew up and became more teenager, I felt different because I thought, okay, maybe somebody doesn't want to have date or be my boyfriend because I was proud. I created all these stories in my head. And it was first when I went to India with my adopted parents in 2006 that I truly accepted my color. I accepted who I was as a person because I was also Christian. I could see a lot of when you raise in the Danish culture, you tap into the way of Danish people, their mindset, the society, how you're being raised in the Danish family. But interculture adoptee, you feel the differences in the family, but also in the society.
So can I take you back to when you understood that you were adopted?
Yeah.
Understood that. I mean, how do you
Yeah.
understand? Okay, as a child.
Yeah.
How do you understand? How does that make you feel if you can remember? Huh?
That's a really good question you're asking. I can't remember when exactly that. I mean, it's just my mom has always been honest with me. When I ask any questions, she always, explained me, who I was, where I came from, that I was adopted. The honesty about the adoption process and all that has been truthful the entire time. I know for a fact that when I speak to other adoptees or foster care originals, they're not always getting the truth.
Right.
About the story. There's some things, they can be. I was born in a hospital, and then I was transferred to a nursing home in Mumbai, where I spent 1 month in the hospital and then 7.5 months in the nursing home. But so I kind of knew that from whenever I can remember, maybe teenager, that I knew that I was adopted and raised in a nursing home in India before I came to Denmark.
So having those details are so important because I didn't have them. So I do understand how important it is, because otherwise you keep searching in a different way, like what, where, who, why, what, and when. So that's good that you have those details.
But when we went to India, I saw part of myself. 2006. So that's 14, 20 years ago. So I think I was in the 30s, around 35.
That's your first time back?
That was my first time back to India.
Wow.
Yeah. But I saw part of myself that I could identify with the Indian culture.
Yes. A sense of belonging to that. I see people that look like me, and it's a very I would imagine, a comfortable place to be.
Yeah, and I was blending in color-wise, right?
Yes.
I was afraid because I had short hair, I was dressing Scandinavian, they would look different at me.
Yeah.
But actually, I was just blending in, when we're walking down the street in Mumbai, I felt like home as well in that culture, but I could see the goodness that I have in my heart. I can see the gift that I have today, and I'm honored to have, and I'm blessed to have, is from the Indian culture. It's the Indian, that I was, taking from my birth family, that I have with me in my soul and my mind and my spirit.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because that's a big part of you. Now, do you get to meet other family members when you went back, or how does that
So
work?
we went on a 3-week trip. And the first stop we had was in Mumbai to see the hospital where I was born and the nursing home. And the nursing home was rebuilt. And the 2 rooms where they had the adopted kids was not reconstructed. So they were actually still in the same shape as I was there. The most insane thing happened was that the principal that was working at the hospital now, she was my nurse at that time, and she said that she could remember me when she saw me.
Wow.
So we went up there, but it was kind of having a déjà vu to walk into that room where we've been, spending 7.5 months.
Is there a sense of something you could feel?
Yeah,
Something? Yeah.
I got goosebumps. Like I was
Wow.
like, cool.
Yeah,
It was
yeah, yeah.
amazing experience. But
Yeah.
then also we wanted to see if we could find any information about my birth family. And we did find papers in the court. And for the first time, I found out actually when I was born at the time of the day. So I was born 205 on March 12th, 1972. And for somebody that is interested in astrology, you can imagine how important that is. That just small details. But I was
So you're interested?
yeah.
Okay, wait. Well, I didn't know you were interested in astrology.
Oh yes.
But yes, yes.
Yeah, so that was important information for me. And then we were waiting for some more papers to come up and we went further down our trip. But then we came back, we went to the administration of the municipality of Mumbai. And there we found, it was like walking in this old building and office where you have stacks of paper. I don't know if you can imagine back in the 50s and the 40s where they have stacks of paper. They didn't have computers, but
I'm 75, so I can imagine.
you remember. You can remember. So it was just like walking into a movie, and I found this huge, thick book of all records from children. And they put up on the page where it was saying the hospital's name and the children. So I found a page where it was saying 4 girls and 6 boys' names and the area of where they were from, the parents. Fortunately, I wasn't able to get a copy of it, but I didn't have a lawyer with me. Oh. And that was the last day we were in India, so I didn't have a chance to stay longer or, get a lawyer in that moment. So, but I assume when I go back, I'll be able to retrieve the book and the records and bring a lawyer with me to find that information. And maybe I can in that way, find out more about my birth mother and maybe birth family that I have out there in India.
So that answers my next question. If you had been back, so you haven't been back since that time, as who you are, who you've become, and so on and so forth. This would be a great time at some point to reach out and find somebody and have that conversation.
Yeah.
So when you think, because I know you've done a lot of work on yourself, and with Tony Robbins and other things, methods that you've studied, but when you think back, why did they give you a sense of why your mother chose to give you up at that time?
I haven't gotten a true answer on that. My own feeling, talking to people that does, medium and things like that, it has something to do that she was maybe sick and she couldn't, keep me. And the other thing, a feeling that I had, my father probably had a high position and they were not married, and in that way they could not keep me because they were not in a marriage. And if you know the Indian culture and the caste system they have out there, it's a no-go if you're not married to keep children, or if they're not really aligned on the same values and keeping children, then I guess
you would have to.
You would have to give up your child for adoption. I work with a lot of, past life experiences, and what I get from it is also that some of my mother's family has something to say in that circumstances.
So you've done past life on yourself, like
yes, yeah.
And you felt that might be an answer, and who knows? Yeah. But it's really, when you think about it, you have that DNA and whoever shoulder she stood on, and your biological father and whose shoulders he stood on, and you also have the culture of your adoptive parents and that energy, and you're standing on their shoulders, even though it's not in blood it's not only blood that makes up who we are and what we're about and why we're here. It's many experiences. So what let's switch a bit, because when I talk to guests who have been through this, I say, okay, so especially if you're interracial or racial adoptions, what do you feel your adoptive parents brought to the table for you, and what do you think could have been done a little different, if anything at all? Do you feel that they gave you the right balance, or what do you feel that they gave you?
My parents always treated us equally in the family. There was I didn't feel myself that there was any difference in the way we were treated, the way we were growing up. I was allowed to do the same thing as my sibling was doing, but they were in the same age as I was. I think it's more my siblings that might have some. I know for a fact my sister, she has jealousy because I came into the family, and I might have stolen a little attention.
Time and attention.
Yeah. Time and attention from, my parents. And that might have caused her to feel, different in so many ways herself. And that created, but it's something that, subconsciously that is being created between the siblings. My parents, overly didn't make any difference much, the way we were raised and how they talked to us. And
I think that's quite, again, I've spoken with other guests who've had that when they came into the family and these were adopted siblings you're talking about, right? Not biological.
Yes.
Where they felt that. And also when I speak to people who've grown up with their, biological siblings and so on, middle child syndrome or the baby coming in. So although it's not the same thing, it is in some sense, you become a bit of a threat,
Yes.
And then, the baby or whoever comes in and, like we say, takes away time and perceived love and attention and what about me? So I think we all grow up with a little bit of that. What about me?
And with just a little bit, I always felt like I don't feel like my siblings, right? I'm like the black sheep in the family. I don't have, a university degree, and there's many reasons for that. I don't walk the same path that they do, I'm a little own path that I take on, and that's what I do. I'm very individual, independent person. And I think as a person growing up, adopted, but also with a Danish family, makes you independent because you're born in one country and you're giving up for adoption, but you become into this kind of survival machine because you're dependent on somebody else. You're depending on a family. You're depending on their, ability to raise you and, et cetera, et cetera.
And to keep you.
To keep you. Yeah. Exactly.
Because a lot of us feel, can we be tossed back because maybe I don't fit in, or maybe I'm causing something. And I've spoken, myself, I felt that, and I know other guests have felt that. This feeling secure in yourself and your home, and there comes a point when you feel, oh yeah, this is it. But there's also that point like, oh, well, I don't know if you've experienced that, but maybe you can tell me because I don't want to go on about that. But.
Yeah, and I think that when I left them, like in 2022, that what was my lessons to learn, where is home,
Yeah.
And the security and foundation creates a certain behavior, when you're raised, but also, because I'm dependent on them, and you might not speak up for yourself because you said, oh, if I say something that is not appropriate, maybe they will send me back. You know what I mean? So in that way, I had a security foundation while I was in Denmark, but when I left that foundation to be with myself, what could I hang on to? There was nothing. There was nothing other than faith.
When you say there was nothing, say that again. There was nothing to hang on to, meaning that you weren't feeling secure, that you had to travel out on your own and find yourself. But you had faith, but didn't you feel you had the safety of home by that time, that you could always? Oh, okay.
No. No, I had to find the safety in myself, the security, and the foundation in myself, and that leads to the beginning of our conversation of where is home. So for me, it was to establish the mindset, the foundation of feeling home in my heart, because then you're always basically safe, in my opinion.
Well, let's go back to that. What's a turning point for you, a defining moment that said, hey, I got to figure this out. I'm not going to let anybody. Well, let's say this. What is the scar that brings you the wound, the scar, the healing? What is the big defining scar for you, if there is one?
It's the identity. The identity of who you are. Who am I?
And what would you say now? What would you say about who are you now?
I'm here, someone that brings light into others, heal others, I've always been somebody that has a desire to help others, to bring happiness to other people. But I've also learned that sometimes you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
Yes, you must put on your oxygen mask first. Now, Ranjana, I do know a little bit about your past. I don't know if you're willing to share what was a moment for you that maybe would help our community. It's up to you. That happened to you when you're 13. Is that something you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, I can share. My parents has always been parents that supported children in other countries, not only me adopting me, but they always paid for, children to go to education, to get clothes, to get to schools, in other countries, in India and Africa. So they've always been supported. So back in the 80s, a lot of things was happening in Sri Lanka with the Tamils, Tigers, and they immigrated, many of them, to Denmark. So the Danish government asked the Danish society if anyone could, support. The Danish Refugee Council in Denmark took on that project to, integrate them in the Danish society. And my parents took on that role as well. So we were dedicated with a young man from Sri Lanka, and he came, once a while. We have to, help him get integrated in the Danish society, learning about Danish, habits and what we do in Denmark. So he started coming into our house a couple of times a month. Can't recall for the period of time he was coming there until the incident happened. And then one day he went to the hospital, and the hospital called us up and asked if we could take care of him when he got off the hospital, because he couldn't be by himself. So my parents said yes. And that night was the turning point of my life in so many directions and levels, and trauma that it caused in my life. So I woke up 2:00 in the night, sweating, and with him on top of me. He didn't wake me, but whatever he did for a very long time, I don't know. But I know the shame and the guilt that came with that has been devastating in my life for years, and I'm still healing from it.
Yeah.
I don't think any woman can forget the incident that's happened, whether they're being sexually assaulted or, raped or abused. I don't think any woman can forget the moment it happened, but you can forgive the person, which I have been working on myself, the healing that I needed to do. But it had, affected me in so many levels, it's great to say it, but also, financial relationships.
Yes.
With men.
Yes.
I truly believe that I don't have a family today. It's not married. I don't have kids. Because it destroyed my trust.
Yes.
I think as an adoptee, where you have the security and the foundation as an adopted, and something like that is happening, it takes away the trust that you have.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Trust in human, trust in men, trust in relationships.
Right.
And that caused me a lot of pain in my life, to be honest. And I'm still healing. It's last year, my body forced me to manifest a third-degree burn because I had suppressed anger. I think some people that have that kind of trauma, they can express it, or they do the opposite, that they turn the anger inwards.
Internalize, yes.
Internalize it. And I'm that kind of person. So I didn't speak about this for 40 years. I wasn't taken to a counselor when it happened. It wasn't reported to the police.
Why do you think that wasn't reported?
Something you didn't do at that time in the 80s. You keep it quiet in the family.
Yes.
That's what I think. And my mom, because when I started, my healing journey with Tony Robbins, I came back home one time from a Unleash the Power Within. And my father said he was disappointed. And I said, listen, I've been disappointed for so many years. You never took me as a psychologist. And they said, well, we didn't know that it was infecting you so much because you never said anything.
And they were not trained. If we're talking about the 80s and the 70s, like you say, you don't talk about that. We didn't have words like, whatever coaching words we hear now. We didn't have those words now. Our parents couldn't speak to us about that. But one of the things I wanted to get back to, you said you were working on forgiving him.
Yeah.
But have you forgiven yourself for even feeling that you caused something, or I don't know? Is there a sense that you have to forgive?
I think, it comes both ways. I mean, I think Tony Robbins talks about Ho'oponopono prayer, which is a healing prayer, but it really goes deep when it comes to trauma and leading the program and it creates in our...
I lost you.
I can hear you.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Can I hear you?
Yes, so...
Oh, sorry.
When Tony Robbins talks about Ho'oponopono, which is the Hawaiian prayer, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And he goes deep into the reprogramming and the trauma that happened to you when you were a child or whenever it happened. And I've used that a lot, and it helps me a lot in the healing process of forgiveness. But I also use it to myself because I also, like you say, I have to forgive him and create peace with it. But I also have to forgive myself for all the stories that I've been telling myself, about the incident and what it caused in my life, but also the pain and suffering. And yes, you're right. You have to forgive yourself for that too, because it's the amount of energy you're using on healing yourself for such a trauma, because it goes deep. It goes into your flesh. It goes into your cells, into your bones.
And especially as a young person, and you thinking that maybe you caused something. What did you do to cause this? And then when you have adults not kind of addressing the situation, it speaks to your worthiness, your value, all of that. It's a big thing. That didn't happen to me until I was in my, till I was in my early 20s. But I can still remember the moments, the time, how, when, how long. I can remember all of that. But
Yeah, that's, worthiness for me is still, something I have to work around, because worthy it has many levels, worthy of being me, but worthy in getting a salary. I mean, like worthy, like in money as well, because I have to value myself, the integrity that I stand for, the honesty that I stand for.
That's true.
Yep. It has value, but it also comes the worthiness of how do I see myself, And that can affect me, because I thought, well, I maybe I don't deserve more, right? I don't deserve a better life. This is what I'm set for, right? But I will say that Tony has really gifted me with his teachings and about, life is happening for you. And if somebody had told me 10 years before I met Tony Robbins saying that, life is happening for you and your trauma is your gift, I would say, are you serious? No.
Yes.
And that's something really.
Yes, life is happening for you, not to you. I think, is that the expression? Life is happening for you, not to you. And looking at trauma as a gift. It was just yesterday that I was preparing to meet you, and I was writing out something, and I said, yeah, is trauma, can I look at some of the scars, my scars, as a beauty mark? What created who I am, and, the journey and all of that. So looking at it as a gift, as opposed to this big, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Looking at it, what do you mean by looking at it as a gift?
So I will share this little story, and it recently happened last year at Oneness the Power Within, where I was crewing, and I was crewing for the logistic team behind everything that's happening at the event. 20,000 people at the Prudential Center in New York. And I had a break on Saturday. On Saturday, Tony has his specific process that called Dickens process, where he takes you through a journey of pain and suffering, releasing it from your childhood, but also into your future, releasing it or feeling the pain the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years. And a senior leader came over to me and said, Renina, can you delay a message down to my other senior leader? And I said, yeah, sure, I can do that. So, and then the other senior leader said, Renina, can you help a participant doing the process? And I said, yeah, I can do that. I'll just skip my meeting that I'm going to, but it's okay. My focus is here to serve. So I get into this younger lady, heavily overweighted, and we start, doing the process, sharing our limiting beliefs, our pain, our suffering, what we had in our childhood. And I was listening to her, and she was sharing similar limiting beliefs that I have. But one thing that I paid attention to, that she said that I haven't been able to speak for years. Mm-hmm. And that moment, that was like, okay, I know something happened to her. And I said, it could be similar to my story. It could be a little bit different, but very close. She could have been raped. She could have been abused, whatever. And I told her, and I said, you have a gift. And he said, I have a gift. And I said, yeah, you don't know it yet, but it will come. And then I said, well, I will start sharing my story. And I start sharing my limiting belief. But I said, okay, I can't push her. But I said, okay, let me share my story, and I'll share what happened to me. And I said, I was sexually assaulted. It was a very emotional moment for me. There was a lot of things going on in my life at that moment. So I was crying when I was sharing with her. Mm-hmm. And she bursted down crying, and said she was sexually assaulted as well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That moment, that was my divine gift from God.
The gift.
That I'm being directed between 20,000 people to one lady that was sexually assaulted just like me. Yeah. That's why I know that, I have a gift of helping others, but also to help them, finding peace with it, finding, the release of not speaking. And that's why I also love your title of your TV show, Outraged Voices, because I think there's so many women out there, and also men. We don't have the voice to speak, or we haven't allowed ourselves to speak up.
That's beautiful. I when you were talking about that moment, I could actually feel you speaking with that the lady, and I'm thinking about that, and a mentor, a mentoring feeling, sharing your story with someone that you feel can get it or understands or hears you or wants to listen, because these are tough stories to tell.
Yes.
I mean, it's not, I've said to people, it's not, you're not going to a cocktail party and saying,
No.
hey, guess what? This happened to me. I don't think that happens, right? So these are tough stories, but they need to be told, because that gift, like today, you sharing your voice, somebody out there is also going to hear this, say, okay, I'm not alone. I belong. I hear this. And that's what I hope this community gets. But what I want to ask you now is, because you've done all this work, the younger, you know the story, if you went back to your younger self and could tell her something now, the Ranjana that is now, speak to your younger self, what would you say?
The best advice, or what I would tell my younger self, is to be grateful. I think grace is my biggest word that I tap into, because you can't be grateful, like Tony talks about. You can't be grateful and angry at the same time. And find grace in small things and appreciate them. And the last component, grace, appreciation, but also love, self-love to yourself, love yourself, and because life becomes tough sometimes, and we can go easier by it, by appreciate and have grace for smaller things in our life. And I would say that's the 3 words that I would say to my younger self that can bring them forward and bring myself forward. And I wish I would have had it on an earlier stage, to tap into those knowledge and science, I would also call it.
I know, yeah. As well, so now going from there to your future self, telling you, what would your future self tell you now? What's happened? What do you see? Who you are?
One of my future self lived that love is my driving force. Speaking from, you can create anything from love if you're in your heart. You can create things from love. You can change things from love. And I see myself as someone spreading love to the world by sharing my voice. Because I know my voice can heal. And I know that one day I will share my stage with Tony Robbins. That's what I see myself. I see my future self.
Your future
changing the world for adoptees and foster care individuals.
That's beautiful. So now let's have 5 power words that describe Ranjana. 5 power words of where you stand right now.
Number 1 is love, faith, resilience, victory.
I love that.
And oneness.
and wellness. That is beautiful. That's beautiful, Ranjana. So is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to share or guide or mentor? Anything you'd like to say?
I would like to speak a little bit about healing, because having been sexually assaulted when you were a child, because healing, not only speaking, because the sexual trauma is also stored in our muscles, is stored in our nervous system, is stored in our cells. We can become sick if we don't, release whatever's going on, the suppressed anger. As I shared that I manifest a third degree burn, but I wasn't able to release this suppressed anger that I have. And that probably comes from not speaking with someone. But I have worked on myself, like healing wise, I work with epigenetics, where you work with the spine and the nervous system to release trauma that happened in your earlier stages of life. I do a lot of Ho'oponopono prayer. I do meditation.
I missed that. Will you do a lot of
the Ho'oponopono prayer?
I don't know what that is.
The Hawaiian prayer. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Yes.
I love you.
Right.
That's the Hawaiian practice that's been used for many years. And Tony incorporated in his State for Destiny when he talks about healing and forgiveness. I use that with my coaching clients a lot. I used to use it daily. If I have to heal the situation, I go into the situation and I just say the prayer over and over and over again. And it changes. I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of energetic field meditation as well. Sound bath, sound healing, to heal myself. Because I feel like we can always shift, we can always change to be a better human being in this world. And I believe to thrive in this world today requires a lot of strong foundation.
Yes.
To not be moved out of our focus, what we need to do in our daily life. So that's some of the tools and, mentorship that I give to my clients, because I feel them important. And then I have, if you bear with me, I'll share a little bit. Tony has something called the triad. It's called focus, meaning, and language, which can drive your life, your business, your everyday life. My website's called Love Fulfilling You, because I feel that what I can contribute to the world is love fulfills you in your heart, your daily life, what you do, what you choose to do for your purpose in life. So I have created something called the Love Triad, which stands for love, oneness, victory, and empowerment. And that's my copyright of helping you to fulfill your life with love. But there's some steps to it, which is love yourself, become one with yourself. And that will create victory in your life. And then that way you can feel more empowered to go out and create the purpose in life.
How do you love yourself? How does one love oneself?
How do you love yourself? First of all, it's, it's many components, not only just self-love, it's also having your values, is how you respect yourself. How do you see yourself?
Right.
And I train myself to do that by affirmation and to do the healing. I see healing world as self-love, because it's really choosing you, to do you, to be you. And that way you become who you were meant to be, to who am I, When you're turning into the love, you find your identity of who you are. as a person. So that's love is just not love. It consists of many components, I believe.
And the reason I ask
Compassion.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, the reason I ask that because I know that we hear that self-love, and I know people go, well, what does that mean? Am I supposed to look and say I love myself? It's everything is work to understand the components as you're talking about.
Yeah.
Finding that identity. It's work, but it is worth it. It is worth. If anything you do in your life, the one thing that you could do is find that your what do I want to say? Your self-love, your authentic,
Authentic
beautiful
self. Yeah.
self.
Yeah.
Your authentic, beautiful self, that you are not broken.
No, you're not alone.
You're not alone. And as Tony said, the universe is happening for you,
Yes.
not to you. But I also encourage people to find someone they can speak to, find a mentor, find a coach, find someone to share your story with. Now, you are a coach,
Yeah.
and I know you're going to, in our bio, we'll have all of that with you. What's coming up for you next? Where are you going to share your story and your bigness next?
Yeah, so I have my I was not going to talk about it, but I'll share it actually exists. But One Voice Empowering Life Lessons About Adoption is my first book.
Oh, wow.
And it's my personal story, but I also share my trauma. I share my story about being raised in Denmark, my trip to India, how I empowered my life through Tony Robbins. And today it's more like my business card, but I do sell the book. So if anyone is adoptive parents out there or foster care parents and they need some lessons and guidance in how to raise a child, what to think about, learning about the psychology from, being adopted or foster care, interculture, interracial adoption, this might be a good book to grab. It's on Amazon. I also have physical hobbies. But I'm writing about my book, which is now going to be my second book, which is going to be From Faith to Freedom. And I'm working on pieces, and I might going to hire somebody to write the entire book. Because right now I'm busy creating my new life, establishing myself
you
here
are
in the United States.
in the U.S. of A, living your best life at the moment.
Best.
Living your best life at the moment. And books, let me say this, books are tough to write. Memoirs are tough to write.
They are.
I'm still hanging in there with mine, finishing, with a publisher today, actually. But so I applaud you, the author, the speaker, the survivor, the mentor, just your brightness. You have a lot of brightness and it possibilities. We all have to know that there are possibilities, and the language. Your old story does not define your new story. The choices you make now. Yes, we all have the scars. Yes, wounds to scars, but we have to. No, we don't have to. I shouldn't say. I don't want to use that word, but choose to, as an adult, to find a way to move past them or work with them, or they're our beauty mark and gift. So I want to thank you, Ranjana. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you. And I know big help for a lot of people out here who need to hear your voice, and of course your book and just check her out on her website. You'll have she does a lot. I wish I could say a whole lot of stuff, but enjoy the U.S. Find I always say that to people. Find your partner. Find that mate that will besides, because now that you're pretty whole, you have to find the other whole person too.
Yes,
It's not
yes.
one half, not your better half, two holes, two holes, people. So, hey,
Yeah.
keep looking. It's all about the love. It's all
And
about the gift.
it will happen. I know that I'm one
It will
of
happen.
God's chosen, and He will bring me
Yes.
one when the right timing is in place. And right now, I can just walk with God and His love for me, and doing what He wants me to do here in the United States. So,
Well, that leads me to my last saying. I always say I'm God's unfinished work of art. He left the finishing touches up to me. So be well, be safe, be love, and be yourself. Be your beautiful self. And thank you. All right,
thank you.
Ranjana. All right, take it easy. So I just want to say thank you, Ranjana, for sharing your story, your honesty, your journey. I really appreciate you. Remember, your voice matters, your story matters, you matter, your dreams matter. It matters. Self-love matters. See you next time. I'm Sharon Lee on Outraised Voices.